Welcome back, everyone. You're tuning into another episode of Podcast and Chill. I'm Leo, always here to add a bit of laughter to your day.
And I'm Gwen, here to give you the best tips.
Have you ever wondered why the English you learn in school is different from what you hear in movies or on the street, and you don't know how to use them properly? Then this is the topic for you.
Today we're talking about a topic that our listeners all need: School English B's real-life English.
In this podcast, we'll share useful tips to help you know the difference between school English and real-life English, and when to use them.
Let's get started.
Firstly, let's start by defining what we mean by book English and everyday English.
So, book English is what you get from textbooks, academic papers, and formal writing. It's the kind of English that follows all the grammar rules in its formal details very correctly.
It's like wearing a suit and tie to a business meeting. You want to look as professional as possible.
Right, Leo. On the other hand, everyday English is the language people use in daily conversations on social media and even in informal emails.
It's more relaxed, often includes slang, and doesn't always follow strict grammar rules.
Yeah, like when writing formally, you might say, "I have received your email." But in everyday conversation, you often hear, "Got your email."
That's a perfect example, Gwen. Now, let's move on to the contexts where each type of English is used.
All right, so book English is what you'll find in classrooms, academic journals, and professional settings. It's important for writing essays, reports, and giving formal presentations.
Yes, and it's important for clear communication in formal contexts. For example, when you write a business email or a scientific paper, it's important to be clear and formal.
Imagine you're writing a research paper on climate change. You may write something like, "The information shows a big increase in world temperatures over the last 100 years.
On the contrary, if you were just chatting with a friend about the same topic, you might say, "It's getting a lot hotter these days, don't you think?"
Now, let's give our listeners some practical examples.
How about a simple greeting? In book English, you might say, "Good morning. How are you today?"
Right, but in everyday English, you're more likely to hear, "Hey, how's it going?"
Or even just, "What's up?"
There are also differences in expressions. In book English, you might say, "I regret to inform you that."
While in everyday English, it's more like, "I'm sorry to tell you."
Vocabulary changes too. In book English, you might say depart instead of leave. For example, "I will depart at 6 p.m. But in everyday English, you just say, "I'll leave at 6 p.m.
How about idioms, Gwen? Can we use them in daily life?
Of course, but remember to choose the right context when using it.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, like when someone says, "break a leg before a performance," it means good luck. But if you're not used to the expression, it can be confusing.
That's interesting. Academic. Definition: connected with schools or with studying and thinking, not with practical skills. Example: book English is used in academic writing. Detail. Definition: a single piece of information or fact about something. Example: we don't know the full details of the story yet. Practical. Definition: relating to experience, real situations rather than ideas or imagination. Example: I will give practical examples so it's easier for you to understand. Greeting. Definition: something friendly that you say or do when you meet someone. Example: he nodded his head in greeting. Scientific. Definition: relating to science. Example: when you write a scientific paper, it's important to be formal. What are the main differences between book English and everyday English? Book English is formal, used in academic and professional writing. Everyday English is informal and relaxed, used in daily conversations. When do people use everyday English? People use everyday English in casual conversations, text messages, social media, and when talking with friends and family.
Now, let's talk about the challenges people face when switching between these two types of English.
I think it will be difficult at first if we don't understand the context for use.
A big challenge is vocabulary. Some words you learn in school aren't used in everyday conversations, so you may sound too formal.
Right. Another challenge is understanding idioms and slang. These are often not taught in textbooks, but are very common in daily conversations.
Like, if you've only learned formal English, you might not know what spill the beans means. It's a fun way of saying, reveal a secret.
Yes, and then there's the speed of conversation. It can be hard to follow if you're used to the slower, clearer speech in classrooms.
And let's not forget pronunciation.
Native speakers often combine words together when saying like Ghana instead of going to.
So true, Leo.
So, how can we adapt to both types of English while facing those challenges, Gwen?
One way is by practicing with real-life materials like TV shows, movies, and podcasts.
It helps you get used to the natural flow of conversation.
Here is how to do it. You need to start by watching materials with English subtitles. That way you won't find it difficult to learn it.
Also, this helps you match spoken words with these materials' written form and makes it easier to understand slang and expressions.
You should watch short parts of the show or movie several times. Then pause and replay scenes to catch phrases and expressions you might have missed.
If you don't have time to watch movies or shows, you can listen to podcasts.
Many people use this when they're too busy.
They listen to podcasts while driving or doing housework.
But note that you should choose podcasts with easy-to-listen content and transcripts.
Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to have the patience to maintain the habit of listening often.
Another tip is to engage in conversations with native speakers whenever possible.
Also, don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't understand something. Most people are happy to explain.
And it's important to recognize context. Use book English in formal environments, but switch to everyday English in casual settings. It will help you communicate and use language with others in the most natural and effective way.
Right, and don't stress about making mistakes. The more you practice, the better you'll get at knowing when to use which type of English.
Casual. Definition, not serious. Example, we will wear casual outfits for the trip. Adapt. Definition, to change something to suit different conditions. Example, it took me a long time to adapt to the new job. Material. Definition, information used when writing or researching something. Example, there are many real-life materials to learn English like TV shows, movies. Engage. Definition, to join or to be involved in something. Example, I love engaging in conversations with native speakers. Reveal. Definition, to show a secret or something that is surprising. Example, Marie will reveal John's secret. What challenges might learners face when switching between book English and everyday English? It includes understanding informal grammar, slang, cultural references, and keeping up with the speed of natural conversation. Why is it important to adjust your language based on the situation? Because it helps us have clear communication and suitable interaction with others.
To wrap up, understanding the difference between school English and real-life English can really improve your communication skills.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Remember to practice, have fun with it, and don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing great.
Subscribe to our podcast for more tips and laughs every week. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to talk about, send us a message.
Until next time, keep practicing and stay confident. This is Leo and Gwen from Podcast and Chill.